Thanks for staying with us. So we're continuing front page review. We've read the headlines in Punch. Nima, you have a story.
Yes, I have the power generation stores that 4,000, hovers around 4,500 megawatts. The story says it stagnates. So this story takes a record, an inventory of how we've generated power in the past 2024 and all the loans that have so far accrued to this situation, totaling over 3.2 billion in 4 years from several international institutions such as the World Bank, the African Development Bank, Japan International Cooperation Agency, and several other loans like that, which have supported the power sector to billions, to the tunes of billions of dollars, but we do not see the effect. They said as at Thursday when they went around for this report, power showed the peak of 4,743 megawatts as of 6 p.m. Thursday. And, the average power generation in the past 3 years have just been around 4,500 megawatts with all the several
interventions and
that
money
we've had.
here.
So they have, since 2020, the World Bank loan that was approved, the AFDB loans, the report takes it stage by stage. I don't want to take the time of the show, counting everything, but it's not, encouraging to see this. Somebody should audit how these monies have gone so that we can trace and see what effects it has and see the one we can channel. Because what we really need is new infrastructure. That one is not, we can't continue to use this infrastructure and not expect the grid to collapse.
All the
we
time.
need a new system that captures the new population, the growth and the expanse of the country and states around.
Okay, so I have the story of the Yahoo boy. They said the man, he was jailed for, they said the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja has sentenced one Chima Nkwocha, help me, also known as Young Billionaire. That's what they wrote, Young Billionaire here, but Barao, to 2 years imprisonment for defrauding a United States citizen of $345,000. They mentioned all the names he used. He used different names, Frank Nils, from Cobert, all different. They said it was a cumulative sum, that he was collecting them in batches. And he defrauded, her name is Linda Wheeler, an American. And he received the money, the naira equivalent of this money at this Ginux Global Nigeria Limited. This is the company name. And the account is a Zenith Bank account. And he also said that he used the money to buy Mercedes-Benz, normal, 2 gold necklaces, pendants, 1 gold bracelet, $2,200 cash, and 90,280,934, all in this account, this same account. He also has a 3-bedroom terrace duplex, 3-bedroom bungalow, self-contained apartment. He really invested this money very well.
It seemed like he made a wise investment.
Made a wise investment. So they said they've convicted him 2 years in this thing with a 2 million naira file. And I'm like, why would they say 2 million naira
But they've
file?
seized all of the...
Yeah, they've seized everything.
So
But
it's a good thing he invested
still
well,
small.
because that way the monies that they collected can go back. Instead of him blowing it at Dorime, that would have
Popping
blessed.
champagne. Okay, so there was gang on Thursday, yesterday. The Senate on Sunday took on the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, over how much the federal government has saved and spent since the removal of fuel subsidy in June 2023. Edun, who appeared before the Senate for the defense of the 2025 budget, was also taken to task on how much the federal government is spending on debt servicing. In a dramatic move, he did not have answer. He was flustered and did not have answer. Apparently was not prepared for the questions, and he requested for a closed-door session with the lawmakers to provide answers. While struggling for answers, Senator Ningi Bauchi, PDP Bauchi Central, now urged Edun to explain how proceeds from fuel subsidy removal were spent in the 2024 fiscal year. Edun also asked him that what is the budget performance achieved so far for the 2024 fiscal year, particularly in terms of capital expenditure. We haven't heard from the minister how much has been saved from the removal of fuel subsidy and how much has been expended. We also haven't heard from the ministers about debt servicing. How much have we actually used to service our debt in 2024? He announced in 2004. How much are we expecting to service debts in 2025? Finally, with the Minister of Finance guaranteed that the extension of the capital components of the 2024 budget to June 30, 2025 would give the desired results in terms of implementation that has a very low percentage. And then they said that Edunaste asked them again, are we in a closed door session? Before I can answer, if we are not, please, can we have a closed door session so that I can talk
can't be made
and
public
answer the question?
This your drama is like, why can't you dramatize this story?
Now in the CDO, so there's no
the
public.
matter they see they settle
Since yesterday
For closed
door session, because they told all the journalists and everybody to leave. So we never know that nothing has been made
there's been subsidy
to
or
the public, domain
It's a matter
for
of-
us to
of
know
top security.
what happened to our money.
Interesting. Let me take a good bit of good news. The minister for, actually, this is from the foreign minister for China, Wang Yi, has plans to visit 4 African countries before in a week-long visit. So he's visited Namibia, Congo, currently visited Nigeria, and then he's going to Chad before he leaves on Saturday. And part of the good news from this meeting is that Nigeria will be getting much-needed collaboration on military production of equipment as well as training for our military officials. This was supported by the Minister for Foreign Affairs from the Nigerian side, which is Yusuf Toga, and he spoke at the State House to the State House correspondents after the meeting with the Chinese Foreign Minister as well as the President at Aso Rock. Following up with what the Chief of Defense Staff has said, General Musa had explained in a lengthy interview at Al Jazeera about how many of our frontline officers don't have access to much needed equipment. So, and this is because there is a lot of bureaucracy that is lengthy regulations often delay the delivery of the desperately needed things to the frontline troops. And we're hoping that based on this conversation with them and the agreement with the Chinese Foreign Affairs Minister, we would be getting the much needed support to support our military to produce locally in Nigeria. That side, that's part of the story really excited me, that they are looking towards partnering for production within Nigeria as well as military training for the Nigerian army. Moving on to our next paper, Daily Sun. Federal government raises alarm over new COVID-19 threats, urges unified effort against emerging pandemic. In other news, gunmen kidnapped 2 Catholic Reverend sisters in Anambra. Kudos trail Bauchi governor's dismissal of Tinubu's policies reform. He's playing irresponsible politics, that's from the presidency, and governor's right, says MBF, PDP, others. In other news, we have Governor Mba signs land use regulation, executive order creating new urban areas. Pope Francis fears World War III, calls for global dialogue to prevent it, and China to increase currency swap deal in line for Nigeria. Banks issue of Panda bond. I think that's a very important story. Who has it?
So I have it. The Chinese government has backed our request. That's the Nigerian government's request to increase its currency swap line, and it plans to issue Panda bonds. So both countries renewed their currency swap agreement, which is valued at 15 billion yuan. That is approximately $2 billion, to enhance trade and investment between the two countries. This agreement, according to them, is valid for 3 years, and it aims to strengthen financial cooperation and promote the use of both currencies in bilateral transactions. I'm seriously hopeful of this. I expect, this kind of swap.
Most of our transactions are with China, but we're now paying through dollars. So if we can directly swap, we don't have to go through dollar to reduce the dependency, and
naira
might appreciate. So what story do you have? Amaka Ramatu, kidnapping in Anambra State.
Okay, yes. So, sorry, 1 second. I'm bringing out the story. Okay, so gunmen suspected to be kidnappers have abducted 2 Catholic Reverend sisters, Vincentia Maria Nwankwo and Grace Maret Okoli, in Ufoma community of Anambra State. The victims were kidnapped on Tuesday, January 7, 2025, along Ufoma Road as they were returning from a vocational association meeting in Oguchi. Statement signed by Sister Maria Sobuna. She's the Secretary General on behalf of the Sisters of the Immaculate Heart of Mary, Mother of Christ, said the sisters that they had gone for their vocational studies, and on their way back, they kidnapped them, and they have reported this to the police. The police said they have gone to do spot assessments at the area where it happened, and they are going to really locate and find the people that did this. And in the meantime, the sisters have asked people that please that we should put up prayers for the safe return of the Reverend Sisters.
All right, we also join in the prayers for the safe return of the Reverend Sisters. Moving on to Vanguard, our final paper for today. Major headline: insecurity. Nigerians lose loved ones, now live in fear. Mass abduction characterized 2024. Northeast rank highest. Southeast tops ransom payment and accounts for 40% nationwide. Cyber criminals defraud Nigerians of 8.8 billion naira. Over 200 security personnel killed. 140 policemen in FCT. Security experts CSO speak on challenges and opportunities in 2025. That is a story you need to read, Nigerians need to read by themselves. However, there's another interesting story. Somebody ticked NBS to include prostitution, other illegal activities in GDP calculations. Sad story, bloody January, accident fires claimed 242 lives in 8 days. And Chadian capital calm after deadly presidential palace attack. Can we take the NBS?
Okay,
yes,
so I have the story. They said the NBS to include prostitution and other illegal activities in GDP, and I'm wondering how they are going to get this data.
Illegal activity.
Yes, illegal activity called prostitution and drugs. So they said the National Bureau of Statistics said that illegal and hidden activities like the prostitution and drug peddling will now be included in the calculation of the country's GDP. And this thing. So they also said that they disclosed this at a sensitization workshop on GDP and consumer price index. I think they want to know the amount of money that at least Nigeria consumes at the end of every year. So they said the GDP is expected to capture new segments such as the digital economy, activities of pension fund administrators, and National Health Insurance Scheme, Nigerian Social Insurance Trust Fund, activities of modular refineries. They are going to capture all of that, but they are going to make sure that they also include the prostitution and the drug peddling, because he said that there are some supermarkets that you go to the supermarket, they are selling regular product, but they are also selling these drugs in their supermarket as well. So they need to add them to this GDP so that they can know what's going on and everything. I'm just wondering how they are going to get this prostitution data, because the person will not come out and say this is what I am.
If they start on all the roads, by the building you shall know.
Then they have to register.
By the number of rooms you shall know. They will register
Anyway,
them.
that's what we can take on front page review. We're happy for people in Chad because there's a bit of calm. They tried to attack their presidential palace, but 19 assailants were all killed. They said there were about 24 of them that came in commando style to attack the presidential palace, but they were warded off. 19 of the assailants
The government
died.
spokesman, Abdurrahman Kolamullah, said that the 24-member commando carry units gone, but he called them a comic name in French. And things are back.
We're happy that there's peace in that place. That's what we can take on front page review for today. We'll go on a break. When we return, we'll move on to our hot topic. Stay with us. We'll be right back.